r/NoSleep. Posted by u/inletharn. The boy who wore a meat cap. I am writing this as I am waiting for the truck to arrive and pick up all the boxes with my family's packed stuff. I'm not even planning to retrieve bulky things like furniture or TVs. As you, the person who reads this, may find my actions illogical or way too dramatic, I won't judge you judging me. I just want to clarify, the life and safety of my family is the only thing that matters. You can always buy new stuff. So that's why I've sold my house dirt cheap to the first one who made an offer. I'm moving to a safer place to leave this nightmare behind. It all began this summer. I was chilling on the couch watching some dumb things on Netflix, relaxing and enjoying the best days of my year, vacation. The cool breeze from the back door, the birds chirping in the distance and iced tea on the coffee table, the day couldn't possibly get better. The front door creaked a little, reminding me to take of it later, and my daughter April ran in, not caring to take her shoes off, even though we've discussed it for hundreds of times already. "Dad, there's that boy and he's gross," she said, clenching her little fists, looking annoyed and irritated. She looked just like her mother at the time, reminding me to take care of that old dishwasher I had to put away weeks ago. "What's up, honey bun? What's the fuzz?" I tried to play it cool, you know it's hot outside. And boys sweat sometimes, you know. Or go to some icky places and poke things with a stick. It happens. If it bothers you, just don't play with him. Where's Pam and Jen? Those two were our neighbor's daughters and apparently April's BFFs. "Dad," she held a pause. "It's not that. That boy, he has a hat. It's gross. And it stinks. Make him go." I guess I had no other option than grab my shoes and get myself outside, led by my 6-year-old. We lived in a small townhouse, one of the many in our residential complex. The houses kinda formed a square, and between the rows, inside, there was barbecue place, a playground and a garbage room. So my daughter, as most of the other kids, used to play there all the time, and since we lived in suburbs and there were no heavy traffic as the whole place was separated from the roads, they usually needed no supervision, so we left them be. Besides, Carl's mother was always there, in a house nearest to playground, and she'd regularly check up on them from kitchen window. But how can you say no to your kid, right? So there we were, little Karen with her walk of anger and me, who'd probably go by manager on his walk of shame to see what's wrong. As we passed the corner of Mitchell's house I saw them, the kids. They grouped around the merry-go-round and seemed worried, whispering to each other's ear and pointing fingers at a boy, who was minding his own business in the sandbox. At first glance everything seemed normal about him. Just a kid, concentrated on his, probably, sandcastle or something. But as we came closer I understood the worry in the eyes of my daughter. That little alien was wearing some dirty clothes and smudged shoes, which is completely normal for the kid of his age. He had absolutely normal toys, probably a bit worn out, but again, absolutely nothing wrong with that. What actually was wrong, it's the thing he was wearing on his head. I swear, I had to blink rapidly at some point and give it a second look before I've got the understanding of what I was looking at. The guy wore some sort of a hat with a visor and all. But it was made of meat. I could clearly see the seams fastening the whole thing together, with what seemed like a fish line or something. Parts of it were sticking out. As if somebody bought couple of pounds of beefsteaks and sewn them together in an ugly attempt to recreate a trucker cap. That was sick. Why would anyone make their kid wear something like that? "Hon, take your friends and go get some ice cream from our fridge," I remember saying to my daughter. And thank God, kids are easy. Moments later there were only shots and giggles moving away from the playground. What would I say to the guy? Should I call the police or social services? I thought to myself. But for what reason? Hey, yes. There's a boy wearing burger patty on his head, please send in help. That sounded ridiculous. Maybe the kid saw the Gaga performance and was going through his phase? Who am I to judge others people parenting? So I couldn't think of anything better than talk to the boy and make sure he's doing fine. "Hey there, little fellow. What you doing out there?" I've asked in a cheerful, friendly manner. The boy stopped filling his container with sand and looked back at me, silently. Finally he replied, "A moon base." "Wow. You sure do," I said as I was examining him with my eyes. "No bruises or anything, so that wasn't an act of domestic violence? Like, you know, a fucked up version of punishment for not eating your dinner or something?" I know, sounds stupid, but I was really confused. So I've asked directly, "I like your hat. Where did you get it?" He looked back at me with what I tend to think was anger, but it was gone the same moment as I've registered it. The boy held a long pause and said, "Pop made me one." That was an awkward and unpleasant conversation. I felt ridiculous asking him questions. But I couldn't leave it at that. "Do you guys live around here?" "Yes. Around here," he replied. "And where's your mom and pop?" I didn't leave attempts to lure out more info from him. "They will pick me up when I'm done." And he returned to his moon base as if the audience was over. I decided to play it square and not bother him anymore. Again, I should have probably called somebody or speak to my neighbors about this, but two things: 1, nobody wants to be that hysterical dad who overprotects his kid. And 2, it's much more easier to have the best solution to a whole situation when you read about it in the comfort of your armchair, rather than witnessing it face to face. But I told my wife about the thing later that evening, and for some reason she found the whole situation hilarious. She even recalled the story from her childhood where she was making beads from pretzels and walked around like that, thinking she was the prettiest gal in town. Maybe the kid just loves his steaks so much he asked his parents to let him carry them around. Yes, that's a bit weird choice to me, but hey. Kids will be kids, come on. They are strange sometimes, she said. I couldn't find a counter-argument that would resonate with logic. Next day it was raining showers and April got her girlfriends to an indoor party. I was in charge of snacks, so my loved ones basically pushed me outside to grab some snacks and candies for the ladies. That would be just a regular boring dad episode if I had not seen that boy again. He was sitting there on a swing in his disgusting hat, swinging his legs and talking or singing to himself. I couldn't really hear because I was on the other side of the street and all of the rain around. He was soaked wet with pinkish streams of water dripping to his neck, getting the color from the chunky headpiece he wore. I've completely ignored the fact. It was back to normal after that, up to a day when I heard the shots from the playground coming through my open back door. It sounded pretty much as if the kids were having a fight, at least it sounded lively in an aggressive manner out there. So, I've hopped into my sneakers and went down to see for myself. To be honest, the whole meet kid thing gave me creeps and I've decided to double check on the children. Couple of adults were there already, trying to comfort their kids, some of who were burying their faces in their parents' embraces, crying. Jake, the Raynard's oldest, was there, standing in power pose looking at the kid, lying on his back on the ground. It was quite obvious that somebody got punched in the face, judging from the small drops of blood on the ground and smudged over the nose of the little one looking wildly up at his nemesis standing above him. That was the odd kid. His cap was lying aside, deformed, with what, I swear, looked like multiple flies circling their feet. Next thing happened then, the boy stood up, dusted his dirty cloth off, as it would help to clean them, turned around and just walked away. It would be an absolutely normal situation, kids get into the fights all the time, except if it wasn't that kid. We exchanged some worried looks with other parents as if communicating, I hope his parents wouldn't want to talk to me. That's not my kid who punched him. And next moment everybody walked their kids inside just as if saying that the party was over. I made sure April went home too and stared at the pile of meat by my feet. It seemed that it got infested already. It was just utterly unpleasant and I couldn't leave it like that, in the middle of the playground. So I took a shovel from the shack, put it underneath and threw the thing out to the garbage bin. I felt a desperate urge to take a shower afterwards. The thing had some tiny bones in it, holding the thing together, forming the horrible carcass, just like the chicken ones. Ugh. Things went dark from there. I woke up due to the door knock in the middle of the night. It was 2:34 on the clock and Jake's parents at my porch. They looked extremely worried. Margaret was crying, as Bill asked if I could help looking for their son while police was on their way. He rapidly explained that they grounded Jake for picking a fight and he was supposed to stay in his room, but Marge woke up for a glass of water. She decided to check up on him, and the boy was gone. Just vanished. Doors and windows were closed, and I knew that there was no way for a kid to get outside. We didn't sleep much that night, going multiple times around the hood, shouting his name, looking for any witnesses. Raynards were devastated. I've watched them talking to cops as I was back from another round of walk around. Jake was never found. Instead, a week later poor family received an unpleasant surprise. I was cooking breakfast for April as I've heard a terrifying scream outside. It was Marge. I've rushed out through the door to see the mix of horror and pain on her face, with the trash bag scattered all over her walk-in as she dropped it. The chunks of a meat stapled together resembling a trucker cap rested at her feet, soaking with moist, yet fresh blood. I'd say I never saw the creepy boy since then, but that would be a lie. Next couple of weeks, as the police representatives were all over our suburb with the search parties, questioning potential witnesses and just doing their job, it was okay. But as the whole story went down and they were unable to find any suspects, I started to get this strange feeling, as if somebody was watching me. Well, not like that. More like I felt the presence of something uncomfortably unpleasant around the hood. Couple of times, I swear, I was sure that I saw the boy with a pile of meat on his head turning around the corner, as I walked in the streets. But when I ran to see, you guessed it, no one was there. Next, kid disappeared in apartment complex not that far from our house. I saw the posters and I heard the stories afterwards. Some of them were pretty crazy, you know how people tend to exaggerate things like this. But after waking up again in the middle of the night due to a car passing nearby, I understood that I had to handle the situation. So here I am now, writing this. Call me a wimp, call me a fool, but it's better be safe than sorry. I want you to understand one thing, if one day your kid will come up telling you about a weird boy in a strange hat playing at their spot, it's okay, not much worrying about. Just make sure your child is not aggressive towards him and deal with it, your kid needs a new playing spot. But thing is, and mark my words, don't you ever ask the boy to see his pop-pops. I have a feeling it's not gonna end well.